What's going on, everybody? RJ Ochoa here from SB Nation's bloggingtheboys.com. We hope all is well wherever you are. We hope you're happy, safe, healthy, and that you're pumped because the 2023 Dallas Cowboys schedule is officially out. We had our official schedule release video here on the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. Make sure you do subscribe. And now we're going to get into odds and how they relate to the Cowboys in each and every specific game. I'm always fascinated by this. We can look at over-unders, et cetera, et cetera. But before we do, I mentioned please do subscribe if you have not here to the Blogging the Boys YouTube channel. And for those of you that have subscribed a long time ago, you know that we have been talking about our march to 20,000 subscribers here on our channel. Well, the schedule video did it. Blogging the Boys has officially hit 20,000 subscribers. I want to offer our thank you, our gratitude, just our never-ending appreciation for each and every single one of you who have ever taken some time to watch any of our videos or shorts or listen to our podcasts or read our articles or follow us on social media. It is our job to provide the best Dallas Cowboys content and coverage that we can. And we are so privileged. We are so really thankful and appreciative that you have made us a part of your Cowboys journey. We don't take that lightly. We take it very seriously. We know that your time is precious. So we want to make sure that we are giving you the content that you deserve. And so it is very cool to hit milestones like this. I can't believe it. I took over in this role here at Blogging the Boys almost 5 years ago. It'll be 5 years ago next month. And so to see the things we've done, to see the ways we've grown, it's just really humbling. And I'm really personally grateful. If I could tell the high school version of me that was kind of annoying all my friends with Cowboys thoughts and Cowboys opinions and Cowboys, I guess if you want to call it analysis back then, that someday we'd be sitting here, 20,000 of us gathered around the proverbial campfire. He would have never believed it. So thank you so much to those of you who have subscribed and who have been a part of our journey. Let's move on to, I don't know what the next goal is, 30,000? I don't know, whatever. Let's just throw out a number. But anyway, let's talk about the Dallas Cowboys schedule. Let's take a look at it. Apologies for our schedule release video. I know we had a couple of days wrong. We have updated that graphic for you. So quickly here, in case you were unaware, you can screenshot this if you'd like. In fact, let me make it full screen. I don't know how to take myself off. I don't know how to do that right now. I'm not going to worry about it because I'll break something. But if you want, you can screenshot this or whatever, or we have some graphics available for you on our Blogging the Boys social channels as well. We'll also have some wallpapers that will drop for your phone. We only have iPhone dimensions, but those will be out later on Friday afternoon. So be on the lookout for those. Blogging the Boys on Twitter is the place to find them. But if you need a direct link or something, let me know in the comments down below. But anyway, we're just going to fly through this quickly. Week 1 at the Giants. Week 2, Jets at home. I made the joke, New York, Frank Sinatra style to start the season. Week 3 at Arizona. Week 4, the Patriots at home. Week 5 and 6 on the road before the bye at San Francisco, at LA to play the Chargers. Come out of the bye to play the Rams. So the Cowboys play 3 California teams back to back. 2 LA teams back to back, actually, with that bye sandwiched in between. Then week 9, the Cowboys start their month of November on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles, come back home for a divisional matchup against the Giants. At that point of the season, we're talking about November 12th. The Cowboys are halfway home with their divisional games, obviously, 2 of them against the Giants, 1 of them against the Eagles. Cowboys visit the Carolina Panthers on the Sunday before Thanksgiving, then host the Commanders on Thanksgiving Day itself. 7 days later, on Thursday Night Football on Amazon Prime, the Cowboys will host the Seattle Seahawks. And their 3rd home game in a row, the Cowboys will host the Philadelphia Eagles on Sunday Night Football on December 10th, their first December game. The Cowboys are then in Buffalo and Miami on back-to-back weeks on December 17th and Christmas Eve. Cowboys come home for their final regular season game at AT&T Stadium on a Saturday to host the Detroit Lions and then finish up their season on a date that is still TBD on the road against the Washington Commanders January 6th or 7th. So these are all the games, right? And we can sit here and we can pontificate and we can extrapolate and we can say, I think they're going to win this. I think they're going to win that, whatever the case may be, blah, blah, blah. But what do odds makers have to say? That's what we like to look at. That's the information that you can always glean because the people in the desert, they don't build those glitzy, glamoury towers and buildings with pennies on the dollar, right? Like they're pretty good at what they do and figuring things out. And so that being said, it's worth mentioning, by the way, that DraftKings Sportsbook, these are the odds that we're going to be talking about here, odds from DraftKings Sportsbook. They have the Cowboys over under. I wouldn't say over under set at 9.5, but if you want the over, it's at -130. And the under on 9.5 wins, if that wasn't obvious, is +110. If you don't know what that means, if we look at the over here, I know betting is still kind of a new frontier for a lot of people, but the over 9.5. So what that means is in order for the over to hit, the Cowboys would have to have at least 10 wins, right? The Cowboys win 10 wins or win 10 games. That means the over has hit. That -130 means you have to bet $130, just to use a simple number here. You can take whatever derivative of that you would like, but $130 to win 100. So if you place a $130 bet on the Cowboys to hit the over and that happens, you obviously get your $130 back as well as a $100 profit. The under 9.5 means you stand to win $110 if you bet $100. Obviously, that's what that difference in minus and plus means. And that would be if the Cowboys won 9 or fewer games in 2023, which I think we all think is shocking, that it would be this low. The Cowboys have won 12 games in back-to-back seasons. Even if we go a little bit further back in 2020, it was obviously a down year for the Cowboys, only winning 6 games, but Dak Prescott missed a lot of that time. If we go back to 2019, the Cowboys did finish 9-7. So that is the under, but that is right at that mark. They missed the playoffs with that record, but this is not a team that generally disappoints and wins fewer than 9 games or fewer than 9.5 games unless some sort of disaster does strike. But that's where they're at. And while the Cowboys have an over-under, so to speak, set at 9.5, they are favored in 12 of their 17 games. So that's kind of some weird math, right? Why would the Cowboys be favored in 12 of 17 games, but only have an over-under at 9.5? Those numbers are not the same. The answer is because crap happens. Football is weird, right? Crazy things tend to happen. So you never know how things are going to shake out. Now, before we put the odds on the screen, we do have it on the graphic. I do want to say, because this video will probably be seen by somebody at some point in the future, these odds are as of Friday, May the 12th, 2023, one day after the schedule was released. It is currently 10:45 a.m. Central Standard Time. As I put this video together, these odds are subject to change. They will change. In fact, these odds have already changed from when I first tweeted them out on Thursday night after the schedule originally came out. So let's take a look here. And once again, these odds are courtesy of our friends at DraftKings Sportsbook. Cowboys are, in fact, favored 12 times of the 17 games that they will play in 2023. The first 4 games of the season, the Cowboys are favored in. They are currently 2.5-point favorites on the road against the New York Giants. I told you that that line has changed, or that some lines have changed. That one specifically has changed. On Thursday night, when the schedule first came out, the Cowboys were only 2-point favorites. They are now 2.5-point favorites. So you'll see these things tend to move, half point here, a whole point there, whatever the case may be. But Cowboys currently favored by 2.5 on the road against the New York Giants. I mentioned our schedule release video. We talked about this a little bit there. Once upon a time, Cowboys Giants used to be kind of an annual thing on Sunday Night Football to start the season. The Cowboys and Giants actually have not met in week 1 since that aforementioned 2019 season. And that game itself actually wasn't on Sunday Night Football. The last time that the Cowboys and Giants met in week 1 on Sunday Night Football was all the way back in 2017. The Cowboys did, of course, win that game. That was actually Dak Prescott's first win ever against the New York Giants, first of many, as we now well know. The Cowboys have visited the Giants in the season opener before. That came in 2012 when the Giants hung their Super Bowl 46 banner. That game actually took place on a Wednesday. So there's some weird kind of quirky details here associated with, this, that, and the other. But the Cowboys won that game, so hopefully they win this one. They are favored to do so. They are favored at home. Again, this is a home game against the New York Jets. I know we're all scared of Aaron Rodgers. They are going to be a very good team. Obviously, he is somebody who has never lost in that building, AT&T Stadium. But the Cowboys are favored against their arch nemesis by 1 point. It's worth mentioning, if you do care about this, that the Philadelphia Eagles, for their road game against the New York Jets, are 1-point underdogs. So the Jets kind of that point of demarcation between the Cowboys and the Eagles. I think that's interesting. Week 3, the Cowboys will head out west to take on the Arizona Cardinals. They are 6.5-point favorites. And if you can't tell, that is the largest line in favor of the Cowboys this season, at least as of this point in time. So Vegas expects the Cowboys to have their way in a different sort of desert. The Cowboys also favored back at home against the New England Patriots in week 4. If you had told me that the Cowboys would ever be favored against the Patriots, it would have always felt impossible. But it's difficult to see how even the Patriots and all their greatness in the past are going to put up much of a fight against this Cowboys team come week 4. The Cowboys are underdogs in back-to-back weeks, starting with week 5. Both of these games on the road against the San Francisco 49ers, 2-point dogs, and against the LA Chargers, 1-point dogs. That Chargers game is on Monday Night Football, by the way. This isn't shocking. Both of these teams were playoff teams last year. In fact, a common denominator here, if you haven't kind of figured it out by now, of the 5 games that the Cowboys are dogs in, all 5 are not only on the road, but all 5 are on the road against playoff teams from last year. So it makes sense that the Cowboys would be underdogs on the road against a team who has knocked them out of the playoffs in back-to-back years. The Chargers one is a little bit more touch and go. That's why the line is so small. If you can get that now, wherever you are, if you do choose to participate in these sorts of things, I would love to take Chargers giving the Cowboys a point on Monday Night Football in Week 6. Cowboys on their bye Week 7. We keep going. They are 6-point favorites, not quite as large as that 6.5-point spread, but 6-point favorites at home against the Rams, who won the Super Bowl a year and change ago. The Cowboys then are 3-point favorites to kick off the month of November on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles. We already talked about them. Then the Cowboys come home for a nice homestand. Look at that second column right there. That is a lot of green. I know people are sitting here saying, oh man, I'm so nervous about, the Cowboys schedule. It's going to be tough. If you look at this, all right, this is mid-November at this point in time. From mid-November through the end of the season, the Cowboys are only underdogs twice. And those 2 games that they are not favored in are both on the road, both against playoff teams from last year, and notably, significantly against AFC teams. If you picked from that second column, look at the column on the right here, and I said the Cowboys have to lose 2 of these games, you get to pick which 2 do you want them to be. If your answer is not the Bills and the Dolphins, you are doing this wrong. Now, I understand that we all want to see the Cowboys beat the Bills and maybe even the Dolphins because they are good teams. The Bills are a great team. They're a Super Bowl contender. The Dolphins are a Super Bowl contender. We would love to see the Cowboys beat some of the better teams in the NFL. But if we're being matter of fact, if we're being serious about this, the games in that second column that mean the least from a tie-breaking standpoint are the ones against AFC opponents. And those are the ones who the Cowboys are underdogs in. So this actually works out really well for the Cowboys. And this is pretty chalk when you think about it, because we've talked so much about this offseason, about how the NFC is wide open, how the Cowboys have such a strong position within it, how Dak Prescott is one of the best quarterbacks throughout the entire conference. So this all lines up well. Going in order, the Cowboys are 4.5-point favorites against the New York Giants at home. They'll be done with the G-Men by Week 10. In Week 11, the Cowboys on the road, 3.5-point favorites. It is hard to be, a favorite of that magnitude on the road. I mean, I say that after the Cowboys were 6.5-point favorites on the road in Arizona a few weeks back at this point in time, but 3.5-point favorites on the road against, we imagine, Bryce Young, and obviously half of an NFL season of experience for him at that point in time. You never know, by the way, how that kind of stuff can shake out. For all we know, Bryce Young does take off. The Panthers become a force, and this line does change the closer we get to that game. Then the Cowboys come home 5.5-point favorites as of now against the division rival Washington Commanders. Their first meeting with Washington this season. That game is on Thanksgiving Day. 7 days later, shout out to the Ring, the Cowboys 3.5-point favorites at home against the Seattle Seahawks. Then they are 1-point favorites, just a slim little margin right there for the third game of the homestand against the Philadelphia Eagles. And that's kind of a coin flip. I think that it makes sense that the Cowboys will probably split their games with Philly this coming season. That's exactly what happened last year. The Cowboys lost in Philly. Granted, they did not have Dak Prescott. And then they won in Dallas. Granted, Philly did not have Jalen Hurts. So this is going to be a fun thing to watch. In fact, if we do talk about DraftKings Sportsbook odds, of all their odds to win each respective division, the division with the tightest margin between the favorite and the next team is in fact the NFC East. And that's because the Eagles are obviously a very good team. They won the conference last year. They barely lost the Super Bowl. So the fact that the Cowboys are right on their heels suggests this is going to be a fun matchup to watch as the season progresses. As mentioned, though, the Cowboys are underdogs. They are 4-point dogs on the road against the Buffalo Bills. And I will be honest, if you're asking me, and I would not take betting advice from me, but if you do care about my 2 cents, no pun intended, this is my favorite line. If I had to bet on one of these games, any one of these games, that's my absolute favorite line. There's no way that the Bills cover that in Buffalo, granted, but with all the weather that is likely going to be a part of it, I think that, I like the Bills. I talk about the Bills in a negative sense on the SB Nation NFL show, a different show I do sometimes on our Cowboy shows. I'm disappointed in the Bills, but I think the Bills are going to be a bit of a disappointment this coming year. So if you can get that now, take it and run. Feel very good about it. The 1.5 thing on the road against the Dolphins, look, they're a good team and they obviously have an explosive offense. So I get it. They're a hard team to kind of figure out. So I would stay away from that one personally. Cowboys wrap up their regular season, though, as favorites in back-to-back weeks in 17 and 18 at home against the Lions, 2.5-point favorites, and then on the road against the Commanders on a date, again, that is to be determined against the Commanders. They are 3-point favorites. I think all of this is fair. I mean, again, I you know, challenge you to come up with a line here that you feel like is really unfair, where the Cowboys shouldn't be that favored, or the Cowboys should be favored when they're not. Again, the just 5 times that they are underdogs are all on the road, all against teams who were in the playoffs last year. One of them was against the team who ended their season last year and the year before in the 49ers. Another was against the team that they lost to the first time they played, in the Eagles last year. And so it's all pretty fair. It's all, whatever to me, but it is all really interesting. Again, if you buy into this, and nothing is predictive, right? You can't say, well, just because the Cowboys are favored in 12 of their 17 games, they're definitely going to go 12-5 again. But this does sort of give us an indication at where odds makers, who certainly know what they're talking about, how they view the Cowboys, how they view the rest of the NFC, how they view the NFC East, how they view the landscape of things. We can sit here and talk about the schedule and when these games are going to happen. And the win is going to affect a lot of things, obviously, when it comes to weather and injuries and so many things that we simply do not know in the middle of May. But for now, it does feel like this is a pretty solid spot for the Cowboys. So, that's good to see. But what do you think? What are your thoughts on the Cowboys odds each and every game? Whatever you want to say, I would love to hear it. My name, as mentioned, is RJ Ochoa. You can follow me on Twitter or Instagram at RJ Ochoa, on TikTok at rj.ochoa. If you'd like, you can send me an email, rj.ochoa@sbnation.com, or you can leave a comment down below, and we'll do our best to get to those also. I'm super excited now that the schedule is here. I would love to hear what Cowboys games you're planning on attending. If you're going to go to one, whether it's at home or on the road, it's super fun to kind of know the exact roadmap at this point in time, and that's one of the better parts of the schedule coming out. For now, though, once again, thank you all the way from deep down, the deepest part of our hearts, for 20,000 subscribers. I just could have never imagined that, and I can't wait to see what else comes of this channel and Blogging the Boys and our universe in general. So thanks so much for hanging out, everybody. See you next time.